Welcome back, everybody. This is Fight Companion, the best MMA podcast in the world.
Pound for pound.
Pound for pound. We are going to be telling you the 5 most overhyped fighters in the whole UFC right now.
And we're starting with...
Number 5. Who do you have for number 5?
I have actually Islam Makhachev.
Okay. I was thinking about him. Why do you have Islam?
First of all, I think a lot of MMA fans think he's going to be the next great Khabib.
Yeah.
And I disagree just because of the fact that I don't even think he's even fought a ranked opponent. And he has had adversity in almost all of the fights, unlike Khabib.
Khabib was super dominant when he was coming up, right?
Yeah.
It was only like the Gleason-Tebow fight and the Abel-Trujillo fight, and those guys were juiced out of their mind.
I think he can be a solid gatekeeper to check people's wrestling defense.
But he's not Khabib. He doesn't dominate people like Khabib did on his way up. So number 5, I personally have one and only Dan Hooker.
Hooker?
Dan Hooker!
What the
Because, let me tell you why before you laugh. Dan Hooker is overhyped. He's the number 7th lightweight. Fans are incredibly hyped and incredibly high on him and his chances to keep climbing the ranks at lightweight. But this is where I disagree. So Dan Hooker, I think he mostly gets hyped because he's a cool dude and he's out of City Kickboxing, which has produced Izzy and produced now Alexander Volkanovski, who are both champs. And I think Dan gets the same hype that those guys did. So they're like, oh, Dan's one of their marquee name fighters, therefore he must be just as good as the other 2 guys.
Sure.
I just don't think that he's shown us anything to indicate that he can truly be a top 5 or a champion level fighter. And that's because the only literally the only top 10 fighter he's ever beaten is Al Iaquinta.
Who's not overhyped?
Who is? Al
he's not overhyped. Are you raging now?
He got absolutely brutalized by Edson Barbosa.
Yes.
Brutalized.
But I will say it's because he didn't have his head coach. He didn't, right? Volkanovski, he had a completely different look about him. He followed the game plan, and that's how he was able to beat Max Holloway.
I do agree with you. City Kickboxing is a game plan based camp. But I still think you have to look at the results you have on paper. And even Edson Barbosa is 1-4 in his last 5. Dan Hooker lost to Edson Barbosa.
Against animals.
Well, but you have to look at the results, right? I think Dan Hooker is a good fighter. I just don't think that the fans hype for him, where they think he's going to be like a top 3, a perennial contender, or a champion, is warranted based on what he's shown us in the octagon.
I think he's going to beat Paul Felder. I think he can maybe contend with Poirier.
That would be a fun fight.
That would be a great
That'd be
fight.
A fun fight.
I definitely think he can beat Gaethje.
So number 4, we agree.
We have Jared Cannonier at number 4. And don't get me wrong, I love Cannonier's power.
I love Cannonier in general.
Yeah, he's awesome. Yeah.
Eventually he's going to come down to the flyweight division, take out Henry Cejudo.
It's no secret here, the light heavyweight division is not my favorite division. And he got absolutely murdered by some of the top guys there. Dominic Reyes. He also lost to Jan Blachowicz, who's a great contender.
Doesn't seem to be truly elite, right?
Right, exactly. And he lost to Glover Teixeira. Glover fucking Teixeira. If you can't beat Glover, I don't know what you're doing in the UFC. And his only notable wins are against Henderson, Anderson Silva, and David Branch. Not great wins.
Yeah, the Branch win really aged badly.
Yes.
Really badly.
Yes, it did. And that's why he's number 4
right now, yeah,
on our list.
As he has not beat a top 5 opponent in any of the weight classes he fought in.
And if he's able to prove us wrong,
I hope
because
so.
of his
I
personality,
really like
because of his power, I would love to be on that hype train.
Then at number 3, we both have one Nathaniel Diaz.
Oh, fuck, man.
Let me jump in first, okay?
Nate Diaz is literally the pound for pound worst fighter in the whole entire UFC.
Just wait. He's number 9 at welterweight somehow.
He talks shit, smokes weed, and slapped Dana White. That's the only thing he's good for.
But he's never beaten a real welterweight, let alone a ranked welterweight. Pettis and McGregor are his only wins at welterweight. He beat Michael Johnson at lightweight. That win has aged badly as well because Johnson went on to not have a good streak after that loss. And honestly, he just does not deserve to even sniff the top 15 of the welterweight division whatsoever. And he's only there because he beat McGregor and he's a popular name fighter.
Yes.
He's the definition of an overhyped fighter.
Yes.
Because his popularity has increased his rankings, and people like him, so they way overrank how good he is. And by the way, McGregor was beating that ass.
Hey, I'm not a McGregor sniffer asser, okay?
I mean, I kind of am, but like, you cannot argue with me that McGregor was beating that ass, even in the first fight for a round and a half, that he gassed out. And then Nate did land a nice 1-2. Connor panic wrestled, and he got the finish. All credit to Nate for that.
Oh, you're a wrestler now.
Oh, you're a wrestler now. Then he did lose the rematch.
Yes.
Pettis had an opportunistic win against Stephen Thompson when he was losing that fight too.
Yes.
And that's Nate's only good win in the welterweight division, both of those.
He has terrible boxing. He fucking slaps people.
I don't know what you're talking about, because I've been told and I've read that Nate Diaz has the best boxing in the UFC.
Every time.
Joe Rogan has told me that Nate Diaz has elite boxing, so what are you...
Joe Rogan is bullshit. He has okay boxing, but he doesn't have any power. He's not even that good of a volume puncher. And it shows in his record, quite frankly.
He also doesn't show a strategic ability to chain combos together or set up anything. He does roll with punches really well, but he doesn't have pragmatic footwork. He's flat-footed, but he also doesn't cut off the cage.
Right. He's a C+ fighter at best. At best.
Number 2, I have Jorge Masvidal.
I just want everybody in the comment section to realize I do not agree with this.
He's so overhyped.
But go ahead.
Ridiculous.
State your case.
So Masvidal, literally one of the most overhyped fighters I've ever seen in the UFC. Right now, he's ranked number 3 at welterweight. But let's go through his wins at welterweight, shall we? He's got Darren Till, who did have a good streak at welterweight, but I think now it's been shown he was just blatantly cutting way too much weight.
Sure.
He's moved up to middleweight, seems a lot better there. And by the way, people were forgetting, Darren Till was, again, beating that ass until he got finished by Masvidal. I don't think that win looks that great on Masvidal's record in retrospect, even though at the time it was like, what the hell? Then he beat Ben Askren, amazing finish, great KO. But Askren, in retrospect, doesn't look as impressive after Askren lost to Maya and retired.
Fair enough.
Then he beat Nate Diaz, who we just covered is one of the most overrated fighters in the UFC. How do you put him at number 3 when I don't think his wins warrant that? And I was looking at the top 15 in the welterweight division. I only favor him against 3 guys in the top 15. Pettis, Diaz, and Magny. 2 of which, Pettis and Diaz, I don't think deserve to even be in the top 15. Usman, Woodley, Covington, Edwards, Dos Anjos, Maya, Ponzi, Thompson, Lawler, Joff Neal, Gilbert Burns, and Luque. I think that they would all beat Jorge Masvidal.
So this is where I disagree with you, because I think that Thompson definitely beat the shit out of Jorge Masvidal.
People forget Thompson literally beat Masvidal like he owed him money.
I think he can beat Leon Edwards. Leon Edwards hasn't beat anybody that great. I do think that he would get fucked up again by Masvidal on a 1-1
again.
So
he said again. Why isn't that in his record?
Yeah,
that would really be Jorge's best win.
So
no, it wouldn't
be. No,
that would be his best win.
It would not be his best win.
It would. Leon Edwards would by far be the highest ranked and most proven win on Masvidal's record. For sure. I'll leave it with one little thing. Maya also beat him.
Maya's good as hell.
I'll give you the last word on Masvidal.
So listen, I think Masvidal has shown great improvement. I think he's a different fighter now. That's my humble opinion. But this is why he should not be on the list, because there's somebody way more egregious than Jorge Masvidal, who is also in number 3 in his prospective weight class.
Who is it, Alex? Who is it?
It is fucking Zabit. Fucking Zabit. Zabit is garbage. He is garbage. First of all, he has the worst pound for pound, worst cardio in the whole entire UFC. That's number 1. He did not win against Calvin Kattar in a 3-round main event card. His subpar cardio would be okay if he had tremendous KO power,
which
but
he doesn't.
Yeah. He doesn't. He TKOs guys. I think he has 1 KO against an unranked opponent. Not even Calvin Kattar. The only person he fucking beat was Jeremy Stephens. Jeremy Stephens is a great fighter.
But the definition of a gatekeeper.
But yes, exactly. I don't think Zabit can even do a 5-round fucking fight.
I think it's really telling when it's the only UFC main event I can remember in, honestly, modern MMA that wasn't like a last-minute decision. That was a 3-round main event spot. That's really telling that his team campaigned for a 3-round event in his hometown, and he's still gassed. Well, I see a lot of the arguments that say like, oh, if it was a 5-round fight, Zabit would fight differently. No, he wouldn't. He relies on volume. If his volume went down, he would lose rounds. Yes. He has to fight that way. Have you ever seen a fighter truly meaningfully improve their cardio to that degree?
No, because I do think Conor would have tried to.
And Conor's got way better gas tank than Zabit.
Yeah.
Conor has power and he can win rounds economically. Yeah. Zabit can't. He relies on volume. Conor relies on distance management and timing. So he can fight at a slower rate and still win rounds. And finally, the big kahuna number 1. The most overhyped UFC fighter in every division, every weight class is Mr. Justin Gaethje.
Yep.
This man is treated like he is a champ incumbent. Like he is God's gift to the lightweight division. People seem to think he will run through Conor McGregor. People seem to think he will have the best chance at beating Khabib. There's just no reason to think this whatsoever. If you actually look at his record, it's insane how overrated he is based on the wins that he actually had. I think he gets more credit for the losses than for the wins. He has won 4 times in the UFC.
Yep.
Let's look at the quality of each of these wins. His first win in the UFC was against Michael Johnson, who I actually really like as a fighter.
Who was a good fighter and he's still a good fighter. He's still a great fighter.
But he's 3-7 in his last 10 fights.
Yes.
2 of those wins are against Artem Lobov and Touchy Feely. No disrespect to either of those guys, but those are not
contenders.
Those are not ranked fighters. So he's got the win over Michael Johnson. That shouldn't put him anywhere near the ranking he has, and he's the number 3 lightweight. So the next win that Justin has is against Donald Cerrone. I actually personally think this is his best win, but Cerrone is 4-6 in his last 10.
I disagree. I don't think it's his best win, but I think it's a good win.
But at the same time, Cerrone is not a top 5 fighter. He's arguably not a top 10 fighter in the lightweight division. Beating Cerrone doesn't justify that you treat somebody as a championship level contender.
Yes, I agree.
And again, this list isn't who is a bad fighter in the UFC. This is who's overhyped. Because again, the problem is fans are treating Justin Gaethje like he's the best threat to Khabib.
Like he can beat Dustin Poirier, like he can beat Khabib, like he can beat Tony Ferguson. But he cannot beat those 3 for sure.
No way. And his next one was Edson Barbosa. Again, Barbosa's 1-4 in his last 5. And Barbosa, I'd say, is like a tailor-made matchup for Gaethje to look good.
I agree.
So
I think that's Gaethje's best win.
But that still doesn't say that you're a championship caliber fighter if you beat Barbosa.
I agree.
Then he beats James Vick. That win has aged terribly. Vick is on a 4-fight losing streak. He got knocked out by Nico Price. These are not wins that make you go, wow, this guy is championship level.
This guy can beat Khabib. This guy can beat Tony.
I don't think he can beat McGregor. I don't think he can beat... Honestly, I don't. Like, if you look at the wins Conor has and you look at the losses that Justin has, I'm not even doing MMA math, just the way that those fights went, I don't think Justin beats any of the guys.
I think that Justin would get knocked out by Conor. I think it would be a really fun fight unless he uses his wrestling.
Even then, though, Conor has great takedown defense.
That's right.
It's just that Khabib is pound for pound probably the best chain wrestler that we may have ever seen in MMA. His losses to Alvarez and Poirier, right? I'd say those are the only 2 I would rank as elite fighters that he's ever faced, and I would actually put them like barely into the elite category. If you envision elite is from here to here, I think Alvarez is here and Poirier's here. It's a stupid thing to say, but lower level elite fighters.
Yeah.
And Justin lost. Yeah, it was a war of attrition, but he lost convincingly.
I think Gaethje will always lose to a game plan.
Yeah.
I think he'll always lose.
Always.
And all the wins that he has gone, those are not people that game plan.
It's kind of like Andy Ruiz, right? They're people who his strategy works well against.
Right.
Like, he doesn't have to change how he fights to beat them.
Yes.
He doesn't match up well with any of the guys at the top. And frankly, I think anybody at the top, especially at lightweight, would be able to game plan for him.
Yeah.
I don't know that I would even favor him against Hooker. I mean, honestly, there's a lot of guys I don't think I would even favor him against when you look from like 5 to 10.
Yeah.
So I think Justin Gaethje is the most overhyped. Like, I'd say he's beaten B- level fighters.
No, he's agree.
I don't think he's beaten any
A's,
A-level fighters, any like strong B fighters, or any truly elite S-tier fighters. And people again think he'll beat Khabib. People again think he'll beat Ferguson. People think he'll beat McGregor, let alone Poirier. I still think Alvarez has a really good shot at beating him, even though Alvarez isn't in the UFC anymore. Yeah. My top 5 are number 5, Hooker, number 4, Cannonier, number 3, Diaz, number 2, Masvidal, and number 1, Gaethje.
And mine were Islam Makhachev, Cannonier, Diaz, Zabit, and Gaethje.
Tell us if there's anybody we missed that you think is overhyped.
Or if you disagree, please let us know in the comments below.
Go off, King. Go off, Queen. Let us know why. Go off. Like, I want 4 paragraphs down there. 1,000 words on why we're idiots. Let's hear it.
We love it. We love it. Thanks, guys.